Previously on Kenshi, Tale of the Blade. Leaving horse to his wealth, Cat and Dog returned to the northern coast, traveling far to the east, and in so doing, entering the lands of the cannibals once again. It was in those lands that they discovered others, tech hunters, that were seeking retribution, wanting a roof over his head for the night. Cat was happy to help, and in so doing, he forged a temporary alliance, one that would have this small group travel through the rest of the Cannibal Plains and in the direction of a city high in the mountains, a city at the world's end. And so it is, their journey begins. Cat, Dog, and the 6 tech hunters. Streak, Slick, Dirt, Inu, Ribs, and Slowline. Each of the travelers had had their own experiences in these plains, and each knew them in different ways. Yet even though they had all traveled these canyons before, the wild has a way of twisting things, changing them. The culverts, depressions, ravines, differing month after month. It's easy to get lost among these hills. Yet they would continue on as best they could, plotting their journey, their path to the east. They had hopes to reach the hidden forest before dawn, and so far, the night was kind. By the time the great sun had crested the horizon, they'd only traveled half of the plains. The forest still far, yet no cannibals dared trouble them. Perhaps word of the Grand Wizard's death had traveled, the one with the mirrored blade responsible. The troop passed by the capital of the cannibals, the keep that is now silent, its fires no longer burning, thanks to the wielder of the blade. A story that now seems somewhat more believable to those that followed in the steps of Cat. Blood would be shed again that morning, but maybe not all of the cannibals had heard that tale. As still early in the morning, a troop of those painted green falls upon our party. The other members knew how to handle themselves, yet the numbers they were facing were great. Inu falling near the start of the encounter, and Dirt not long after. It would be down to Cat, the 2 Shek, and Slowline to finish the fight. They would take stock of their wounds, cover their tracks, and continue on. The change between the Cannibal Plains and the hidden forest was at first subtle, but the sounds of wildlife, birds, and other creatures signaled the troop that they were getting close. Happy to leave the Cannibal Plains behind, the massive mountains they sought loomed in the distance. To Cat's eye, they seemed impassable. Yet the tech hunters knew there was a way. Past packs of river raptors they roamed. Inu, now conscious enough to run on her own, grateful for Cat's shoulder. Unfortunately for Inu, she wouldn't be standing for long. Ambushed by wolves, bone dogs, the tech hunter would rest once again on the shoulders of Cat. Cat could make out the paths now, burnt into the earth by ancient footfall, carving their way through the forest, and even leading into the mountain itself. The Great Range stretched for miles in the north. It was known as the Arm of Okran. And this troop was now wandering directly into that arm. The tech hunters had not walked this path before, yet their tales told of it. They all hoped, and some even prayed, that no harm would befall them. Higher and higher they climb, Cat feeling his ears pop as the winds grow fierce. Great vistas stretch beyond them out to the east, towards Bast and the Great Desert, a sight that Cat hadn't seen, not since he was a young boy, before the blade found him. And the stories, the tales, they were true. A city atop it all. World's End. The tech hunters that guarded the city gladly welcomed their brothers and sisters, and with the treasures that Cat carried with them, he would find himself entry through the city's walls. The first stop, unsurprisingly, was the local bar. there would be a lot of food and drink for the troop that had helped Cat reach this city. In his mind, he knew he could have fought his way here, just him and Dog, just fine. Yet it was Slick's knowledge of the hidden pathways, the veins that wound their way up the arm of Okran. That was what led him to this place. Streak and the others said their farewells. No doubt they had a lot of business to attend to here, and their pact with Cat had run its course. Where their path would lead them, Cat did not know. But it was nice, at least for a little while, to have company, people to talk to, relate to. Yet in the back of his mind, that little voice still spoke to him. It spoke of betrayal, a fear of loss, a fear of losing the blade that had kept him safe all these years. Its power was strong, and its hold over Cat even stronger. He'd spend the evening resting in the common area, yet he would not sleep well, not with so many strangers about. The blade would remain close to him all night, and in the morn, he would start to explore. Birds soared overhead, and windmills turned with the gentle morning breeze. It was clear to Cat that this was a town separate from the rest of the world, yet at its gates, statues of the almighty Phoenix stand proud. Strange, considering no practitioners of the holy flame walk the streets, a mystery that Cat might perhaps learn more of. His first stop across the road from the inn was an armorsmith that specialized in headgear. And while the hat traders' hats were no doubt acceptable, good, or even great by some city standards, they didn't hold a candle to the armored hood of Cat. Disappointed, he wandered further into the town, seeking the treasures that the tech hunters spoke of so fondly. After offloading some of his older armor, it looks like Cat will finally have a chance to upgrade from his dust coat. It's a specialist piece, and it's done him well for a very, very long time. Yet, it has been making fighting a little easier for him, and we know that the only way that Cat is going to get better at fighting is by making things a little harder, and one way to do that is with heavy armor. But, of course, we would need the right piece of heavy armor. The blunt resistance and cut resistance of a piece matters a lot, and in some cases, even medium can provide some really, really good armor, especially when it's specialist. Yet, after looking through all the various pieces, Cat's eyes land on one, an unholy chest plate, something that will not protect his arms, but the metal shirt that he has on underneath will help with that. He won't be able to stealth in this, and his ability to dodge around will be affected. It's harder to strike while you are wearing heavier equipment, and so it is time to retire one piece of armor for another. A good fit, and the heavy boots too. Yet yes, this will weigh Cat down significantly. However, the extra protection means that he will be able to fight for longer and to withstand heavier blows. And when fighting outnumbered like Cat more than often is, withstanding those blows is important. The armor did show a great deal of interest in Cat's blade too. So as ever, he's quick to move on. And the place in question he's heading to is an ancient citadel that sits at the very top of the town. The citadel was not unlike the other structures that Cat and Dog had visited in their journeys so far. Yet here he would not find ancient skeletons. Instead, academics, studying the lost secrets of the continent. On the bottom floor, the scholars seemed too busy or too unwilling to assist Cat, and so he'd seek knowledge on the second. He caught sight of a skeleton dressed in clothes, a scholar like the rest here, no doubt, and just maybe one that was willing to talk. Their name was Io.
Keep loitering our isles, Drifter, and you'll end up trampled by sleep-deprived scientists. What brings you to World's End University? Do you need something?
This place, can you tell me what it is?
Here, we study and analyze lost tech from the ancient world. Slowly but surely, we're uncovering the secrets of our forgotten history. The problem is that most runes have already been scavenged making it difficult to develop accurate theories without solid evidence. So that's where our tech hunters come in. They scour the unexplored lands for any possible remains we can use in our research. So, if you're interested in adventuring, our stores pay good money for relics. Make sure you bring us anything you find, okay?
Sure. I'll bear that in mind.
Is that all?
Actually, no, I had some questions about your work.
Did you have something specific in mind? There's not a great deal of information I can enlighten you with that hasn't already been documented in our records.
What can you teach me about world history?
With all due respect, traveler, asking me to sum up the history of the world is not so much different to asking a doctor to teach you medicine in 10 minutes. On top of that, many scientists have different theories on events. I suggest you browse through our library if you are interested to know more.
All right, specifics then. The Holy Nation, they speak of an extinction, a first extinction. We heard stories as kids. What do you know of it?
The first extinction? I personally believe it to be a plague epidemic. But Mr. Finch stands firmly by it being a freak tornado. Whatever it was, it appears that the skeleton was better equipped to survive it. But human nature is to scapegoat, in particular those that are different to them. Our physical differences, in a time of panic and turmoil, only provoke further fear and cling to ideas of blame, hence the condemnation of my kind as playing a part in the downfall of the Holy Nation.
I've spoken to one of your kind before. You existed way back in the ancient times, right? Can you recall anything?
The memory of a skeleton is not as long-lasting as our bodies, unfortunately. I don't even remember if I existed within the ancient race or not. Trust me, it's highly frustrating for a theorist to have possibly existed at the very time period they're dedicated to investigating.
The ancients, then? What happened to them? How did they come to be?
Mr. Finch believes all organics to be directly descended of smaller tribes outside of the ancient society. And the ancients, we think they would have lived disconnected from the rest of the world. A deadly disease could have killed them off while leaving the skeletons and other tribes unaffected. But again, there are many theories on how we all came to be.
And you mentioned books? I'm trying to find mention of a sword.
Ah, you're an adventurer. Forgive me, but freely passing out tips to our competition would land me in a great deal of trouble with Mr. Finch. Try talking to the tech hunters over in the World's End bar.
Thanks for the info.
You're welcome. Now, if that's everything, I have work to do.
Slightly unsatisfied with the lack of answers, Cat found himself another scholar, the Mr. Finch that Io had mentioned.
Interrupting my thought process. This better be important. Always thought I'd find my peace and quiet working here, but no, I just get nosy adventurers asking too many questions.
What is this place to you?
Well, why not take a look around? Genius, books, workbenches. Worked it out yet? This is a university. From here we send tech hunters northwest to salvage ruins and samples. Then it's my team's job to piece together the history and lost tech of our ancient ancestors.
Strange. I saw the statues outside. Thought the Holy Nation were against all things tech-related.
The Holy Nation, what's that got to do? Oh, right. You refer to the statues of the Lord Phoenix outside. No more than decoys is all they are. We're not affiliated with the Holy Nation, despite appearances. But the statues keep them happy. The holy fools are gullible enough to lap it up. Not so smart, those ones.
Can you teach me about the history of this area?
If I explained the history of the world to every bore of an adventurer who dropped by, I wouldn't have much time to carry out my research, would I? You expect everything, you people. 1 minute you want me to work, next you want to rip me from my bubble of silence and knowledge.
So you're not much for adventuring yourself, then?
Adventuring is for simple-minded ruffians with a death wish. But the work is necessary for me to do my research, so I won't judge them too harshly for it. I prefer the solitude of my lab where I can work without the interference of such pointless queries.
Look, I won't keep you for much longer. This blade, do you know anything of it?
Seems meteoric in nature. The metal that forged this, it came from the stars. But it's old, too. Older than the nation. I've seen its like before. Statues, yes, it's been wielded by the Phoenix, no less. Now how would an adventurer like you come upon such a thing?
Never mind that. It's probably just a cheap knockoff.
I know meteoric metal when I see it. If you would, I could study it.
No, I'm quite fine.
You're certain? 'Tis a shame. If you change your mind, seek me out. There is a wealth of information and cats that I could offer you, boy.
I said I'm fine. I'll leave you to your studies. The conversation was certainly over. Cat had learned what he could, and now he'd need to be that extra bit cautious. More eyes would be on him here at World's End. Just like everywhere he went now. And just like everywhere he'd been, Cat could stay here, plant his roots. Yet it would never be truly safe. The tech hunters seemed like good people, yet their thirst for knowledge may lead to more questions. Questions that Cat was not willing to answer. The bounty from all those years ago was a bounty for a boy that is now a man that has been on the run ever since he found this blade. It is his oldest companion now, one that he's grown to trust implicitly, and with it in his hands he has grown strong. Yet the cannibals that he fought to reach here, and the great beast of Horse's Tail, were they truly a challenge? No. The true challenge lays to the east and to the south, the United Cities, the Holy Nation. Cat had a price on his head. If they wanted it, they would have to take it. And whether it was the blade's influence or his own mind, Cat had set his direction. The desert sands of his youth were calling to him. From atop the world here, he can see it stretching out. The great dunes, as far as the eye can see. Perhaps among those dunes, he can find the challenge he seeks, that good fight. For whether Cat realizes it yet or not, the blade has a hefty toll, a thirst for blood, and a will to seek out the strongest. Cat has much to prove of himself yet. Into the sands he will walk, chasing his destiny, the path laid out by the blade. A path that will inevitably lead to bloodshed, an event all too familiar to Cat. And it is with that, legionnaires, our tale shall come to a close this day. Cat's journey to the top of the world here was certainly made easier by the tech hunters that accompanied him. He may have been lost for many nights, weeks, or months, scouring the hills, the mountains of the Arm. But with their assistance, he found this secretive place, a place that lives by its own rules, one that thrives because of people like Cat. Yet in time, all things fall. How long will those statues placate the Holy Nation? All it takes is one mouthy wanderer. And while that most certainly is not Cat, all it takes is one. In our next episode, Cat will be leaving World's End behind and heading out to the east towards Bast and towards the great desert sea of sand. His strength will no doubt be tested there. And so I ask you all, if you've enjoyed today's tale, please consider leaving a comment or a like to let me know if you enjoyed the show. As for now, I have been Rycon. You have all been awesome. And until next time, stay tuned.